Okay, we're back. This is part 3 of how to build a custom track fork, handmade from scratch to suit your needs. Very cool. This is the first one I built. I'm building a second one right now for the video. In the first episode, we brazed the steer tube to the fork crown. We raked the blades. In the second episode, we slotted these blades, cleaned them up, cleaned up the dropouts, and got them all brazed in, blobbed in, and so that blobs everywhere, so I want this to be able to file smooth and square and match the rears. So I made everything a little bit high so I could file it and not have a bunch of low spots everywhere. So these are raked, these are fully brazed, they soaked overnight. Well, they soaked all day yesterday, not really overnight. Took them out right before I left. So all the flux is off, they are clean. So the plan for today is we're going to clean up this fork crown, we're going to clean up these dropouts, we are going to install this whole thing and measure it, check it on a wheel, make sure we know exactly what the height is. That was the problem with old version 1.0 is I thought I measured twice and cut once. I must have only measured once and cut twice because this ended up being about 7 to 10 millimeters too low. I cut these fork blades. Cut 2 centimeters off, should have cut 1. Wah wah. He wants to run a 28 and have, proper amount of clearance. So it's kind of big. This will still work great on many track bikes and be a great fork, just not on this Bonotto Pista. Oh, we're also going to measure the head tube, the headset stack height, cut the steer tube down to size, slot the steer tube. So we're getting real close. I think I can get it all done in today's video. Hopefully. I don't want a part 4, bro. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to clean the fork crown up a little bit. So a lot of frame builders have spent a lot of years filing the crap out of lugs and fork crowns, get all the casting marks off, get it perfectly smooth. That's awesome with show quality liquid paint. No one can afford that anymore. Inflation is real. No one can afford anything anymore. But I do want to clean up the sides a little bit. So I'm going to take this file. It has a little bit of a lip on the very top of the fork crown. It's got these lug points. I'm just going to clean it up with a rough file. Let this lip sort of disappear. I'm going to try and focus a lot on this point. I want the points to get thinner. People love a thin lug. I love a thin point. There are kind of 2 schools of thought on this. Like, if I thin it now, it's a little trickier when I braze it. It's easier to burn the flux and heat the flux. Make it thicker, sort of acts as a heat sink. Soaks up that heat, makes it better for things to blow. But then if you try and thin it after the blade's on, which I often do, it's not the end of the world. Like this one I definitely thinned just a little bit. You can see it's so thick up here and tapers down. Just thin it a little bit, especially at the point. Hard to tell. Under powder it'll probably look pretty good without having the points completely disappear. I did this after it was all brazed up, which you run a higher chance of slipping and scratching the shit out of the blades, so this way is technically a lot safer. I'm keeping the file moving. I don't want to make a bunch of flat spots. I want it to look nice and round, smooth. Sorry, it's screaming a little bit. This is pretty rough with a ton of file marks. I usually go to like a... This is the same file. You can usually go to smoother, finer, like single cut instead of a double cut file. You get a lot of these marks off. Smooth it out some more. The same thing's true in sanding. You can't go from a really heavy grit to a really fine grit. It'll still show tons of scratches. You gotta kind of step it up from a heavier grit to a slightly finer to a slightly finer to a slightly finer, so you can hide all the previous scratches and get it smooth and nice. That's working. Pretty smooth, and like everything else, we'll take some pretty sharp, pretty fresh 80 grit emery cloth. Wrap the file in it and really kind of smooth it out. Grab some 80 and buff it out. So now this crown is a little shiny, a little smooth, a little thin. You can do that on the tops, you can do it on the rest of the sides. Make it look real pretty. I think that's all I'm going to do on this one. It's a fine. You have to clean up these inside of the sockets. You can take like a little half round and go in there and scrape around, wrap it in emery cloth and do that. It takes forever, but it is doable. These already fit the blades pretty well, so I don't want to lose any material. I just want to clean them. Clean all the sandpaper out, clean all the rust out, clean all the stock grade old dried oil out. So I'm going to switch to this little Makita straight die grinder. These usually take a 1/4-inch shaft. I've got a little 1/4-inch shaft in here. It's just kind of like a spiral on a piece of metal, so you can get these like round sandpaper flutes. Sort of just push them on to the spiral, and it spins the other direction. It usually doesn't fly off or explode. This one's pretty coarse. I've got this little one. It's a lot finer. You always want to make sure these things are wrapped one way. You want to make sure they go with the wrap. You put them in backwards, it's going to catch the edge. It's going to explode. This is just a spiral, a roll of sandpaper with some glue. So air protection and eye protection and a respirator, all that stuff. So again, I'm not trying, just trying to make the metal kind of shiny and silver in there. I'm not trying to actually remove material. I don't want this to get looser. Some you do. Some of these things are so tight. I'm also going to kind of just clean the top of this crown where it's dark gray. It's sort of like casting marks, little low spots and high spots. And I just want to get it high spots and low spots gone so I can wrap this thing in some sandpaper and make all these lug edges clean. Because, I mean, honestly, you probably really don't have to, because you don't want silver to stick there. You want the silver to be nice and clean and stay inside and only stick to the fork blade on the inside. You want blobs on the outside. But I like to get things clean. I don't want any dirt, old grease to melt off into my silver. Make my life hard. It's a half round file. I'm going to wrap around the sound paper a little bit too to kind of just keep doing a little bit more. Get this thing shiny. Get all this old gray drag grease out of there. Ow! Just cut myself real good on this nice sharp point. Big old blob of skin hanging on. It's gonna bleed. Bleed all the time doing this. I don't really care. I usually ignore it. This is right on my fingertip and I'm trying to clean stuff. So I really just don't want to get blood all over everything. And we're going to also come in here with rubbing alcohol and flux. So that's it. I think this is good. I still have this marked front, side-to-side front. I did mark this to cut down. I'll probably do it at the end, but I'm going to show you how I do it. So this is the big boy Bonotto Pista. It's a new old stock. It's got lots of paint scratches and chips from being, it's from this thing's 5-6 years older than I am. It's from the mid-70s. So it's been moved in storage a long time. It's never had a bottom bracket or a headset or a wheel inserted. It's never been ridden. Steel's all good. The tubes are all good. This thing's like new. It's a 62.5 by 57.5, so we have it labeled down here. But I feel like I've checked these and he measured them different than I do. So what we're going to do for the fork is this fork needs to insert inside this frame, and then you install a headset bearing on both sides so it can turn and twist. So this steer tube needs to be at least as long as this head tube, plus as long as the lower part of the headset and the upper part and the lock nut. So what we're going to do is measure this head tube, and I've got 216 millimeters. So I wrote that down. He's changed his mind on the headset twice. I think he had like a 36 one, or 37. They switched to like a one that's 39 millimeters tall, called overall stack height. All the headset that's exposed, including the top nut, not the part that sticks inside the frame. So I think he settled on 38. I'm making it 42. He can use one little spacer. We can have a couple millimeters of safety. You can always cut a little bit more off of threaded fork. It's real easy. It's real hard to make a threaded fork longer. So I did 215 plus 42 equals 257. This old one I was guessing, and he had the taller headset, so I made it at 260 millimeters. We're going to do 257 for this fork. If it's way too short somehow magically, you can always get a shorter stack headset. There's lots of 38s out there. So I marked that, so we'll cut that later and slot it. Oh, we might as well clean up these dropouts. Yes, I can get the whole fork brace together and then clean these dropouts and clamp it. It's slightly more awkward. It's slightly easier to do these guys now. And there's not the rest of the fork in the way. So I made it a high spot on the back. I mean, you can use your half round file, the flat side, to take this off. I really kind of do like the square file that no one else has or uses for doing weird little high spots like this. It's less likely to accidentally slide down and dig in, scratch the actual blade someplace. So I just want to take the high spots off this brass, and then we'll try and get the whole thing flat. And filing takes forever. You can use power tools for this. A lot of guys will use this same die grinder. You can use like a thin sandpaper roll. They're called Dynaphiles. Harbor Freight is a cheap electric one I have that I use. This is so easy to dig in with that stuff. A lot of guys don't care. A lot of guys will they want that machine finished edge. They want it to be fast. They really don't care if they dig in. It'll sand even more to sort of try and flatten it out. I don't want to dig in. I don't want my tube, my dropout to be extra thick or extra thin right at the strongest spot. So I usually do everything by hand, even though it's the dumbest, longest way. But also, it's the best, easiest, cheapest, freest way, especially when you're starting out and don't have a lot of tools. Really have to save them pennies for the important tools like a fork jig, like a flat surface table. Ooh, this is coming out pretty nice. It's getting real flat. Might switch to this totally flat file for a second. And same thing going around the tubes. I don't want to make a flat spot on the top. I want it all to kind of matchy-matchies. I want to blend. I want to be subtle. Sandpaper isn't really tough enough to actually cut metal off like a file. It's just going to smooth it a little, but it's not going to make it real thin or cut through. It would take you all day with sandpaper trying real hard to actually make that metal thinner or cut through it. That looks good, bro. You can see already what I'm doing. This is the unfinished side. This is blobs of brass everywhere. This is the finished side now. You can't even see the brass barely. This light. It is perfectly smooth, perfectly round, perfectly flush. Disappears. These blades are going to look good in there. The sides are different because they're up here at this angle. I want to get them flat. So I'm going to have to do them a little different. Clamping this vise, making sure the blade down here doesn't touch the vise or touch the table. So you have metal clamped here and a piece of metal touching something else. If you tighten this down, it's going to bend, it's going to dimple, it's going to break. So you have to be real careful. You don't want to put giant dents in the really expensive, nice metal you're working on. So I'm going to take this nice flat file and just do the same thing we kind of did in the last video to cut these flat slots. I'm going to go right across. There's a little brass up here on the actual dropout, so I can hit that and dig in. We don't worry about it. We'll finish it off, make it all perfectly flat later. We can also, since this is really high, I'm going to come with the more aggressive, like double cut flat file and really take the high spots off. Keep going until I can see the bare metal of the fork blade. The brass nice and flash and level with that. Flat, getting pretty. Oh boy. Spent about another 20 minutes or so and got these guys real clean. There is, of course, one little pinhole in the back, one little pinhole in the middle here, but this is the drive side. But it's the inside bottom of the drive side. So, pretty subtle. You know, if I was really afraid, I'd come in here and reheat that and refill it and refile it. Put through our heat cycle. I don't think a heat cycle is worth one tiny pinhole in brass and pretending like I'm the greatest frame builder of all time. It never has the most common little things ever. So I think it is fine. I should probably buff this a little more emery cloth. But they're ready. The next step is I'm going to take this crown we cleaned up, make sure I have the right sides. You want the logos on the dropouts facing out. Don't want to switch the blades and put the logos facing in. So I'm just holding it all together. Look at this beast. Look at that crazy rake. Here is my dummy track wheel. I have put a literally brand new 700 by 28 on. That's what we've been measuring this bike for. Setting it on here, and now you can see this amount of gap between the tire and the bottom of this crown. I want it to be 5 millimeters. He wants it to be 2 millimeters, which is insane, bro. 5 is gonna look like 2. I'm gonna take this good tape measure. I'm gonna measure from the top of the tire to the bottom of this crown. I'm getting 36 millimeters, maybe 36.5. 36 millimeters. I want it to sit at 6 millimeters high. I want it to sit at 5 millimeters high. He wants it at 2. It's 36. So in theory, this is where I messed up last time. In theory, I can cut 3 centimeters off the top of each of these blades, put them right back in here, and that's going to lower this right to where I want it. 36 minus 30 equals 6. I'm going to cut it. I might cut it at like 6 is already 1 millimeter too long. I might cut it 1 millimeter shorter than that too. Because it's not hard to get this blade. You cut it down, instead of being perfectly flush, all of a sudden you missed it, the inside's like down a millimeter or 2. And these blades have to be flush when you braze them in, otherwise the heat's going to pull them and suck them up, do weird stuff. So I'm going to cut these blades down, I'm going to file them totally flat, so I'm going to give myself a couple of millimeters of clearance. Worst case, I'll screw it up, have to come down a millimeter or 2, and it'll be right where he wants. So that's the trick, to creep up on this. Little extra filing, maybe you nail it the first time. Heaven, you're like, whatever, it's close enough. On a road fork, like, who cares if it's 2 millimeters higher or lower? You know, I leave 25 millimeters of clearance for fenders anyways, no one's gonna be able to tell. On a track fork, which will be real visible, and everyone's gonna look at this because this is the sexy part of a track bike. So look at those tight clearances. I want this thing to be real flat and right. So I have to file it down too much to where it wants, totally fine with me. So we'll do that, and we're just clean this stuff up and braze it in. I do have to drill a vent hole in this thing. I might drill it down here by the dropouts, honestly. Make me happier. But some messing up here, because I'm also going to braze those silver, or those little stiffener doodads in. All right. Oh God, moment of truth, so scary. I'm going to set this caliper for 3 centimeters or 30 millimeters. Come around and mark this tube. Big thing of Sharpie. 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters. I'm just edging up the outside, scraping on this line. So now you might be able to see the line I scraped in this black, maybe not. I take my 1-inch tube block, because I don't actually have a 24 millimeter tube block, but imagine this 1-inch one has enough gap. It really fits this 24 millimeter block or tube pretty nice. I guess only for 25.4. It's pretty similar. I'm clamping it down. I want to be able to see my whole. No, I'm going to disappear my 3 centimeter line. I want to cut this thing a little long, not a little short. Clamping it in the vise. If I mess this part up, I have to go buy another set of blades. Clamped in the vise, vise locked down. Good old hacksaw. This vise is pretty square, this block is pretty square. Up against the block and try and cut straight up and down, and hopefully it doesn't wander too much. There we are, 3 centimeters removed. You can see that it did wander. This side's a little low, this side's a little high, maybe a middle and a half. So we'll do some filing, square it up. I have this very small square for exactly this. You can set it on the tube, on the side, and it'll show you if the top is flat or not. This is the factory cut. It is pretty dang flat. It's like perfect. My new cut, it's a little bit of a high spot, but we still have at least a mil to my line, and my line's at least a mil too high. I've just got plenty of room. Lower it a little bit. Come along the edge and just deburring it so there's no burrs or anything in my way. Hitting this tool and give me fake readings. So I got this on here and it's touching real tight on the close side, and there's a millimeter gap over here, so I know this side is too high. Same thing over here. It's touching, and there's a tiny gap over here. So this side's high and the front's a little high. So we're gonna... Still about the same. So I'm trying to make it just a little bit crooked. Trying to work that high spot out. It's real easy to take too much metal off and to keep going and keep going. Make your low spot, your high spot, your high spot, your low spot. Keep trying to even it and suddenly you're down 3 or 4 millimeters. This is real close now, man. Touchy, touchy. Still a little bit low. Barely. So that just took 4 or 5 minutes. No big deal. Moment of truth. Dummy wheel. Dummy fork blade. Double. Ooh. Look at that. Oh my god, it is so tight. Sure, he wants it tighter. It's already scaring me. Alright, I got a tiny little snap-on stainless ruler. It's clearly marked. I don't have the other blade in yet, so I gotta make sure I'm leaving. Still making it about centered. Looks like I'm right where I want to be. Right at 6 millimeters. Right at 6 millimeters. Whew. Whew, that's close. I cut it 2 millimeters long on purpose. Still a millimeter long. Still a millimeter long. This one's done. I might do a tiny bit more filing on here just to really double check it. I'm going to sand it, flatten the top with sandpaper. This side just looks like a spot right there. It looks like it's like a ½ millimeter high for about 1/4 inch. So I'll do a little bit more. So we're going to get rid of that millimeter. We might even get rid of 2. If he wants 2 and I want 5, we end up at 4. I'm pretty okay with that. Is he going to get a ruler and come check and be mad? I don't know. I don't actually care. It's wild. Alright, so now we're going to do the same thing to the other one and not confuse them. Alright, I cut the other blade down. Got it pretty flush. Pretty flush. Back up in here, back up on the wheel. Let's not drop these blades. On this axle, got it sitting on here, and what do I see? The wheel is sitting way over to this side. Sitting way over to this side, it's way close to this side, so this side is too tall? Yeah. It's got to come, this side, the first side we did is too tall, it's got to come down for the wheel to be able to magically move over. It's basically got to, you got to lengthen this other blade or shorten this one. Right. I thought I knew. So I started talking about it, I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, if you center the wheel by pushing it over, this blade gets longer. I'm going to shorten this blade. The original one, we're at 6 mils. We've got to shorten it probably at least 1 to 2. This will probably end up at 4. If we're not careful, we'll be at 3. Really creeping up on this. It's real close. So we're gonna, I might finish this one and make sure it's absolutely perfect, and then we'll slowly creep onto the long one. never do that ever. I'm trying to film a video and of course it falls all over the place. Use too long. Oh yeah, I can set them up here on the counter and hold them side by side. I can see this one's like 2 mils too long. This one I've pretty much lost my 30 centimeter scratch mark on it that I put on this, and this one I can still see it. So I'm gonna make sure this one's perfect. Perfect. Because that might make it a half mil or a full mil lower. So I might as well get it where she needs to be before we start shortening the other one to it. Otherwise we'll shorten that one, we'll come short this one, we'll go shorten that one again. Chasing your tail all over the place. This is totes flat. I couldn't make that flatter. My life depended on it. So we're going to call that good. I'm going to go ahead and clean the inside of the tube too. I want the silver to go down these fork blades, fill the gap between the fork blades and the steer tube. But I don't mind at all if it comes right over that and builds a nice little internal fillet too. I usually dump silver till it's full, then heat the bottom and really try and suck some more in. Make it a little too full. Suck it all down, it looks nice and full. Nice little internal fillets make my life better. Alright, buddy boy. Yeah, it's still a little rough and wavy. Just going to try and flatten it out and we're going to double check it. Really easy to try and take 2 mils off and then flatten it and have it be like 4 mils. Meh. Meh. Everything's touching. I'm gonna hope we magically nailed it. We'll probably have to come back and file a little bit more off, we'll see. Also, we can get all this stuff and it seems perfect and might move in the jig for unknown reasons, a millimeter. We might have to do some other stuff to make this fork straight. Might need a slight alignment once you align it. One side's gonna seem a little bit too low. So we're trying to go for perfect, but we know there's no such thing. Once we get it clamped on the jig too, then it gets really easy to tell. You get it all steer tube clamped in, get these guys on. You can grab the blade and see if one of them wiggles or moves up and down a little bit. Definitely have that happen, but like that's the 3rd time I've done that. Luckily I have nice thick shop mats on the floor. So I don't dent the tubes I drop, but also so I don't break part of the cutting tools. That is so close. I still think it's slightly too close. It's still too close on this side. So this side gets taller, push up on the dropout, it gets closer right here. So now this side needs to get filed down some more. It is so close. This blade just wants to be on the floor. Maybe I should just let it. The line on this tire sure looks right down the middle to me. The gaps look exactly the same to me. You could measure it and chase my tail a bunch of times. The trick is let's throw it in the jig and see if the jig tells us anything. And like I said, once we braze this all up, something could move, that dropout might need to be aligned slightly, then that's going to change everything. But it is time to see, except I still don't have any vent holes in this thing. If you braze this thing up without any vent holes, all that moisture, the flux, everything, is going to create pockets of steam. It's going to find the weakest spot in the silver. If you're trying to silver this, it'd be blowing silver out and spattering like a little geyser. So gotta get a vent hole in here somewhere. I want to make sure I'm not drilling in just a pocket of brass and dropout. That was... Now if you noticed, on this first hole, it punched right through. It was like barely anything I was pushing too hard, it punched through. A nice thick fork blade. The fork blade's extra thick down here. No big deal. If you have a really light chainstay or seat stay and you drill like that and it punches all the way through, you'll dent the other side. It'll be uncool. All right, these guys are drilled. It is time to go back to the jig. We're almost there. Make sure there's no flux. There's dummy axle in the way. The dropouts will sit right back in there, flush and nice. Dropouts in. Tighten down. Steer tube went right in, lined right up. So doodad sits against the back of the blades. Make sure the crown's not twisted. It's touching the blade on this side. It's touching the blade on that side. Crown straight. This blade almost move up and down, but literally not quite. This one's in very tight. Pull this apart real quick. We're gonna rubbing alcohol it, flux it, get it right back in this jig. Might just leave the blades in here. They're kind of being held in there just fine. Clean. These ones are going to be a little bit dirtier. These round sockets are a little hard to get all sanded, so they're going to have a bunch of dirt. Little black in there. Using the edge of my fingernail, trying to get right into that tight shoulder. This socket meets that flat bottom. There's some grime in there. I don't want that messing up my brazing. I don't want my silver to stop a millimeter before it gets to the bottom. I want my silver to go all the way in there. Mix a little water, mix a little flux. Get it nice and pasty. Perster, perster, perster. Fill up the inside of this crown. Now another fun fact about flux is it's basically boric acid. You get this in a cut on your fingers, which you do all the time to cut your fingers. It stings so bad. So it'll literally let you know if you cut something that needs a band-aid and you've been ignoring it. Brushes usually lose a few of the bristles too, so you gotta watch out for a plastic bristle being right in your clean spot. Let me get the upside, the inside a little bit. So I want this. Drink that silver. Ooh, baby, baby. We're gonna rotate this thing down. All right, this guy is on here. Still touching. Looks good. Those are tight. Nothing's gonna move. I did just see one problem. Where's my F for front? Might not matter on this crown very much specifically, but it does matter on a lot of crowns, most crowns. So I'm going to flip it over because we're doing the right thing always, not being lazy. If you be lazy, you start making mistakes that seem reasonable and they're not. Get mistakes keep adding up. Millimeter here, millimeter there, off a degree here, off a degree there. Suddenly it's not cool anymore. It's time to do this. There's also my big coil of 56 silver. This is what we used for the crown to the steer. That was nice. That was plenty tight. This is what I used on the last one of these crowns to blades I did for the last fork we did. So it'll probably be fine. I don't really need to wear welding goggles. It just doesn't braze quite that hot. You definitely should have some safety goggles or glasses, otherwise it'll could sputter or spit right in your eye. This is my 0. That's good. About 6 inches of flame. Cutting it with oxygen, getting it hot, hot, hot. Oh, that was bright. Get it down to about an inch and a half of blue cone, not a bunch of orange around it. And I'm going to mostly focus the heat on the fork crown because it is so thick, especially in the middle. I did braze this fork crown with silver into the steer, so there's this, but there's no flux on that. So that is not going to get hot. It is not going to move. You need the flux to get it to move. So you don't really have to worry about that. It's only flux over, well, a little bit rolled in there, but we won't actually get it that hot. See it boiling, you can see it coming out of the bottom, up the blades, crusting over, get all that water out, leave all the good flux in. Avoiding this tip on the very side, that point I cut myself on. It's the thinnest spot, it'll get hot fast, so we want to really heat up this thick stuff. Just thick boys. We will bring some up on the blade. We're trying to avoid the shoreline, just like we avoid the crown receipt. Bring it up a little bit higher. We want some heat in the blade. We want it warm enough for that silver to flow, but we don't want to burn flux right around our shoreline so we can't get the silver flow, most important spot. Okay, we're getting warm. That flux is getting real clear. So I'm going to go ahead and drop some in and see what happens. Oh yeah, it's melting. It's flowing under there. I'm going to come down real low. I want you to pull in. I want to know where you are. I don't just want you by the shoreline. In. Good boy. Pulling parts of it over there. There's still a bunch over here. Let's get this hot. Still trying to bubble out. Come on, big blob. Need you to come inside. Yeah, I sucked it down. It's mostly on the shoreline. This is getting a little yellow. My tip has gotten real tight. There we go. It's getting hot. Ugh. Still no silver right here. Big giant blob over here. So we gotta get this guy to move. Come on, man. Come over here is where we want you. Come on, you brat. Alright, it's mostly sucked in. You're still liquid, you're still hot, but here's where I want you. Follow that heat. I'm gonna have to add some more. Plenty in there, it's just not going where I want it to go. It's a big, ugly shoreline, and I want it to suck in. Come on, I know you can get some more in there. I know you can. Yeah. Disappear those blobs inside. Especially over here. This is where we really need it. Still see some air bubbles escaping. I know we can get more in here. This is going long. It's really pretty. There's definitely more than enough silver in here. Come on, thick boy. Let's get you up to temp. Yeah, that all went in. Line's so clean. That's so clean. Probably going a little longer than I normally do. I don't know. I just want it to look really good. And more than that, I want to make sure there's so much silver sucked all the way down. Right where it all needs to be. Too much, not too little. Still have that shoreline look pretty clean. It's like, no, dude, I'm all hot. There's nowhere for it to go. My phone might be way too full. This might be part 3. It might have to be part 4. The final cleanup and alignment. If so, thanks for watching. Okay, took the old Insta kettle, got all the flux off this guy, putting it back on the tire. I just checked this a second ago before I started the camera. Had a panic attack. all the air, this tube leaks, all the air leaked out of this. I was like, oh my God, it's like 7 mils. He wants 2. I told him, 5 is the minimum safe. Swore it was 7. I freaked out. Realized the tire was low, pumped it back up. And we're at like 5.5, 5 3/4 millimeters. Very short. I was using this like 5 millimeter headset spacer to test the rear, and the rear fit this thing just tightly. This fits it a little loose, about 1 mil. I still think that I probably should have filed that one more time, or the heat moved or something, so it fits a little less straight than it did before. So, we put on the alignment table, we might bend it, the line dropouts, everything might change. One side might get a little higher, a little lower. These things get aligned correctly. So there's a very good chance I'm gonna have to file like a 0.5 millimeter out of this dropout or something, which will bring it to 5. 5's really where I wanted it. It's like 6 right now. 5's where I wanted it. Just can't make it lower than that. It already looks very sexy. Anything sexier than that is like track bike only, show bike, racer. This guy said he's gonna ride this on the street, man, not on a track, so it's already so sketchy for street riding. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to stop Framebuilding because somebody sues me over some fork. It's dumb. But it looks really beautiful other than that. I swear the other one looked like it was almost kinked back a lot. This one looks like it might be kinked forward a little bit. He kept changing the rake he wanted. I brought out 2 millimeters, but also forks just give you a optical illusion all the time. They usually give me the optical illusion of the blades being bent slightly back. This one does not. But if I run a straight edge all the way down, I'm sure it'll be totally straight down the center to the bend. But it looks pretty good. I'm going to clean up around here, the shorelines. I'm going to barely sand them a little bit. I've also got these little dudes to put on. I just was playing with one. And I tried bending it. I clamped it around a 22 tube bar. I clamped it around a 1-inch steerer tube first, and that didn't bend it enough. It was made for an oval blade, not this round blade. So I clamped it around 22 bar, some 22 tubing blocks, and crushed it with ice a little bit. And that looks like it worked. I tapped with a hammer a little bit, flattened it down. So that is still my plan, but I guess I should probably do this first. Right. I want to put it in the jig and align it. But if I put it in the jig and align it and follow all that stuff straight and then I braze these on, it might pull it a little bit. I have to go back in the jig again. I guess I should braze them on first. Let's bend the other one and see that. Got a little Ziploc baggie full of these. It's hard to come by anymore. The guy in Seaway in England, I think he still has these. Just this cool triple drilled one. So I'm gonna clamp this dude so you can see it fits real floaty. Not match this radius at all. Clamp it in this V-block to a giant gap. We're gonna go for a little squeeze on the vise. Gentle squeeze and hope that this conforms to the shape. 22 is a little smaller than 24, but that's all right. Squishing it open a little bit is way easier than... All right, now it like conforms around this blade like so perfectly. Like, beautiful. Look at that picture again, but I'm pretty sure the picture that is cut a bunch of this off, butted it right up to this one here, so it wasn't the whole length. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna cut these guys down, and then I'm gonna, I guess, jig it all back up. All right, I got these little dudes chopped down, sanded, cleaned the tube, the whole deal. I already brazed the other one on, but I figured I might as well show this one, fill this video up, even though it's already too long. It looks like it's clamped on there pretty flat. It's pretty nice. A little bending. Cut just to about 1.5 inches. No orange halo. Not too small and sharp. This little plate's real thin. Try and keep most of the heat. I've rubbing alcoholed it, I fluxed it. Try and keep most of the heat on the blade, but then if you do that, it's going to try to run all over. A little bit on the crown, just gonna stick to that. Stick a little bit at the top. And it's not really hot enough. Alright. We can heat up some more. Now it's getting clear. Already made a huge mistake. The last one I clamped this a lot lower, so I actually come in here and hit the blades, fill the hole with heat. Blade, 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 blade in the hole, blade on the outside. Come in and dump my silver in this hole, and then fill it up and suck it away and out. There it is. Might be able to get rid of this whole clamp now. Perfect. Come down to this middle hole, do the blade, do the braze on the blade. Middle hole. Dumping silver in that. Yeah, I see it flowing. Oh, this tip wants to get hot, so be careful. Put a little silver in. Pushing it down, so it was sitting up a little bit. So I got it hot so the silver was hot and could flow. And then liquid, 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 liquid. Come on. Oh, it burned the tip. It does not want to flow. Come on, maybe. Let's get some fresh flux up there. Everywhere but this tip. Oh. Whoops. Made a big old blob at the tip, scraped off the burnt flux, made a big blob, and it filled. Definitely see silver. I want to see you everywhere. I want to make sure I see you. Well, the other one was way prettier. One on camera is always going to be uglier. Lol. You give this a minute to cool down, then we'll hot pot it. This should be the end of the brazing. I'll do a little filing and cleanup. Put this thing into the fork alignment table. We'll align it. Line the dropout, see how it fits on the wheel. And it'll either be perfect, or I think we might have to just a couple of file strokes, just quarter, half a millimeter on the inside of this dropout, just to get it to come this way. So the wheel's a little crooked right now, so it will come this way to center on the wheel. In theory, not enough to really notice. No big deal. If it was a lot, then we'd be doing something else. But it's just a little bit. It's so close. All right, I'm getting bored of waiting for this to cool down and soak it, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the steer now. It's about cool enough I can touch it. So we did our math in the earlier in this video, last video. We figured out how far we have to cut it. I made a Sharpie mark. I measured it from the edge to the cut line. This is the Park. What is this? The Park SG1 1x24 threaded guide for cutting forks. I could use a block and clamp it. This guide's really nice because you cut your fork, it gets pretty straight, and then as you take the guide off, it's threaded on this side. It cleans and chases those threads a little bit. Then let's clean up with a file a tiny little bit. So we're going to cut this fork, have it not spin, hopefully. So just like that, this last little bit of however many millimeters, what is this? 18, 19 millimeters or something is off. We are free. Don't want to burn my hand. Now this spins off and it's scraping that grimy edge, chasing those threads for us. Ow, still pretty warm. Come back into this tubing block. I'm just gonna clean the top. So this is like a deburring tool. This goes around the edge and just cuts that lip or shoulder a little bit. You can also do it with this little half roundy file. One's a little too big. Or even do it with this little rat tail file. Clean the inside a little bit. Clean the top a little bit. Want to look flat and clean. I'm also going to come around and clean the edge a little bit. Avoid sharp burrs of a thread. Doesn't need to be perfectly flat, but you know. Got my real fine file. Make this as nice as we can make it. It only takes a few extra seconds to make something real rough and hacky into looking real pro and nice. Well, I was recording for a minute without actually recording. I just went ahead and filed the slot in this steer tube. Most forks come with a little slot filed right up the middle of the back, so you can do the locking keyway washer, which in theory won't spin when you get your headset adjustment all on, so it won't come out of adjustment. Nice machined file. I don't got that fancy machine, so I do it the most painful way possible with some very small, very flat files that have some teeth on the side. I need to get like a more coarse file for this. All the coarse ones I find are always like way too wide. Probably be fine. I should probably order one. So I filed this little slot, not nearly as fancy or pretty, but I'm pretty good to get them almost perfectly square, not going off anywhere. This thing fits pretty nice, goes down way farther than it would ever need to. Keyway filed. Somebody coming to interrupt me. Same time I went ahead and just sanded these guys out. Got rid of a little blob on one of them. Look pretty. Look pretty good. We are really ready for the alignment table. I'm gonna align this bad boy, make sure it sits straight on that wheel. Do any other centering we gotta do. And then this guy, oh, we'll have to machine the crown, but then this guy is done. So let's check out that alignment table. So this is my fork alignment table. It's a big, flat, machined flat surface. I don't remember some companies, you know, they made it back in the 80s or 90s. It only came with this 1-inch machined block for putting 1-inch steer tubes in and tightening down. So I have this one custom made for 1 1/8 inch, and then I just can use some shims for 1-inch. In theory. Sometimes that works pretty good, and sometimes it's a big pain in the butt. Alright, shims in. Table on. The first thing I gotta do is get it centered. I leave like about at least 1 inch here so I can check on it. I got this nice flat machinist square. Come up and hit it at the crown so I can get this thing straight. It does have 3 bolts with 1,000,000 threads. Straight at the crown. No, we're not. Oh yeah, right. Straight on the blades. And then we just got to make sure that the dropouts are straight as well. Sometimes this is real easy, like the last one, and sometimes it's a finicky, fussy little fight. I do love that I have this tool. Without it, it's a real nightmare. You're measuring, locking it in the vise, trying to bend it. Can't tell if it bent or slipped. Do that 500 times. First thing I'm going to do is come up in here, check these dropouts. Well, they do not look aligned to me at all. Okay, let's bring out the big guns. This is a really cool tool that Compass Cycle sold, I think, and Rossmann makes. I can bring this up to that steer tube and I can center it on the steer. So I'm hitting the steer in this V-block on both sides, so that's centered. I'm going to bring it over here. It's the front one's 100 millimeters. So I'm going to try and see if we can bring it over. This one's down about 1 mil, this one's down about 1 mil. Bring this blade up. A little gentle persuasion. That did not move. Tough fork blade, my dude. Ah! It's one of the situations where sometimes things move and sometimes they will not move, they won't move, they won't move, they won't move, and they will go way too far. I don't want that to happen. Maybe that little stiffener blade's real stiff. Throw my back out and do that again. Oh, hell, alright, there he goes. So now it moved a little bit. It's trying to come back. It's real tight. Bring this guy up a little too. Oh, that's so stiff. Gotta make sure that this guy didn't rotate a turn. Cool. This is saying this blade is forward a few millimeters. I'm gonna put this in the dropout. I'm gonna touch the back side of it. I'm gonna get this nice and flat, slide it back. I'm touching the back side of this dropout now. And there's several millimeters over here. This customer's being very picky about fork rake. So I might have to go check it as best I can and see which one's more accurate, because it's off by a couple millimeters. I don't want to bend. Well, also sometimes they fight you. One blade will bend forward and one will bend backward, or the other one won't go the other way. So I'm gonna hold it up on my thing and see. I am pretty sure that this top one needs to go back. Well, I do that on a check. Make sure I didn't move this crown. Double checking, it's tight up here. Touching this to the front of the dropouts. There, a hair, I like to go on the inside of the dropouts, just like as if this was the axle. Touch the back face, very flatly, very carefully. Oh, it's definitely just moved a little bit. It's within a hair. But also, I haven't aligned these dropouts yet. That could be part of it. It's touching up here, and there's just like a hair of daylight, and bring it all the way forward like the axle. And it's touching the top. Oh, it might be like a hair. This thing still fits 100 millimeters. This bottom one's still like a mil low, and this top one is just like so tight. So I just lifted this a little bit, and I think that's what brought off that hair. I'd like it to be slightly more, but I don't actually want to try and bend. This thing's really hard to bend. This thing is so stiff. I don't want to bend it back and forth a bunch. That is so close. I'm not going to do anything else until I check and see how the dropout alignment is, and check to see if it sits straight in the wheel. It sure looks like it should, but it might be like a half a millimeter off. I have to just file 2 strokes in there, hit it with some sandpaper, and get it to sit exactly perfect. It's about 100 times better than any stock fork from any stock bike ever made ever. But I still want to be a little bit better. So this is my dropout alignment tools. It is bolt into the dropout, and there's space, so this is 100 for the front, 120, 126, 130, 135. So I can pretty much align any old school quick release droppy outy thing. It's real pushed in, real tight, and it is shockingly close. Shockingly close. If this one needs to go down a tiny bit, this one might need to go up a tiny bit. Still think this dropout might need to go up just a hair. Just a hair. Yeah, these things line up. They're hard to see in the video, so these things line up in the dropouts like this, and the dropout's bent, it'll be like this, and like that, and forward, and you can until they line up perfectly. Not like that, not like that, not like that, but perfectly, so that your wheel will sit straight and your bike will roll, and it keeps all the pressure from clamping your quick release onto your axle, keeps it all nice and even on your hub. Otherwise you'll have a big tight spot in one spot of the hub, the bearings will wear faster there and cause all sorts of problems. Let's see. This boy. It looks like it needs to come that way a little bit to me. Looking down the steer at this line on the tire. Nothing about this looks straight all of a sudden, but it also looks not noticeably off. When things get so close, that's when they get tricky. Just the tiniest bit. Little half-round file. And even just moving a burr or something might make it. Kind of aiming at the other dropout. Tiniest little bit. Might need to do this one more time. It's a lot closer to within like a hair. I honestly don't know if I could ever make this any better. That is about perfect. Try it on that track wheel again. Oh, this tire started to deflate. I'm like, wait, looks like the gap's gotten bigger. You got no one to leave good enough alone, otherwise you start mangling stuff. Get yourself into a deeper hole. This is so centered, dude. This is so centered. F out of here. Let's double check the dropout alignment tools though. Funny thing about getting these perfect is the painter or the powder coater is going to fill one of them anyways, and I'll have to get filed a little bit afterwards. But I'm still so paranoid. This thing sits so good. I'm going to put a track wheel in anyways to put some body weight on it to get it straight. It doesn't. I'm saying it's good. It might be able to be slightly better, but I'm like burnt out and weird. I'll probably just make a horrible mistake. Never file these vent holes. I'm calling it. There's only one thing left to do now. This video is probably too long. My phone's probably freaking out. I'm gonna cut this thing down to ISO. This is how I like to do that. Bring this guy forward. Got some Park cutting oil. I'm gonna pour all over this crown race. It's got a spring, it's got a second spring for really long forks. This is even still too long. So I need like a spacer or something. Close enough. And we're going to cut gently. Just pour more of this cutting fluid on here. Get on these teeth. Cutting fluid's expensive, but it's real cheap compared to cutting tools. Trying to do an even pressure. There it goes. Get started. This fork crown's just like a rough casting. It's oversized, it's thick, so you can get all the brazing done. Brazing's gonna warp all that anyways. And we're gonna take this cutting tool and cut this crown race down. Doing nice and slow, even pressure. Pulling a little bit, not too much. If the pressure's too high, it can cause this thing to chatter and cause all sorts of problems. Sometimes you get it to chatter, you gotta take all the pressure off and just really gently. It's trying to do some weird chatter to move when my pressure's coming on and off. You can see this is making chips and chips and chips, just shaving the metal. I never thought you needed to do this, but it might be true. You might need to get these chips out of here. I'm gonna bring it over, I'm gonna loosen it way, way, way up. Got a dirty brush to keep in a special spot just for cleaning all these chips out. Oily stuff. It is a flux brush. It does look like the exact same brushes I use for flux. Sure would be easy to confuse it. Be a real problem. Throw that whole jar of flux away. Let's get some more chippies out of the way. I guess we can see what we're doing. All right, I think I'm done. I think I'm all the way down. I think I got the crown race. I'm gonna double check. I'm gonna loosen this guy way up and pull it back. Because sometimes you get the crown race like 80%, not all of it, but also it's probably fine. Ooh yeah. Oh, that looks good. Nice shiny metal everywhere. There we have it. Ugh. Nice and clean and cut crown race. Beautiful finished track fork. It's ready for sandblasting and painting. I'll get rid of any of the other heat distortions or that oil. Sandblasting and powder coating. Here's some spacers to mock it up as basically a dummy headset. Little locky duty. And here it is with its frame. See the whole thing in the shot? It looks pretty good, man. Pretty good. Throw the wheels in, but ugh. I should just do it. 2 hours of footage, what's that gonna change? Whew. This thing fits that 5mm spacer in the back. It clears. Customer probably wants it 2mm lower. I just can't. Just can't. Beautiful. Look how close this is right here. That's what I was really worried about, is how close this is. This is so close. I can barely get my finger in there. This headset might be a little tighter than that even. This bike looks good. It'll come up and back a little bit. There you have it. That is my video on how to make a custom handmade track fork. It's the same for road forks and touring forks, more or less, except for you add braze-ons and drill the crown and stuff, but use different amounts of rake or whatever. But thanks for bearing with me in this 3 hour plus long videos. Thanks for watching.